Hey, it's MK, and I'm here to announce a brand new series from MK and Janet Fritz, who is Galaxy Girl Creations here on YouTube. And with this new introduction, I am going to be using my Kit Conspiracy kit for the last time. So I also pulled out this shimmer copper paper from Stampin' Up! To mat my photos with. But about this new kit, about this new series, I will share in a minute. So I'm going to be using a lot of scraps that I had left over because I wanted to be able to share with you guys an introduction to this new series. So I've got all these little scraps. I even found a scrap that was inside my my embellishment pack from the Legendary. I've got a couple of these, looks like bingo cards. Actually, it looks like a Keno card to me, but I could be wrong. I've got one little label left that has the geotag on it, a tiny word sticker, a couple other little things. I'm going to try to bring back this adventure label as well as some wood veneer pieces. Some of the wood veneer still has the masking on it. And then I've got all these little numbers, but as you saw, I just used those numbers on yesterday's layout, so I don't have those numbers anymore because I'm working out of order. I try to usually do the layouts that really inspire me first before moving on to the layouts that may not inspire me until I'm already halfway done with them. So I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but that's usually how I am. So these numbers have already been used up. I apologize that I'm sharing them with you right now, but I'm going to go and mat my photos. I did end up matting another photo on one of the scrap orange pieces as opposed to just cutting out that coppery piece one more time. And I think I used the copper piece somewhere else as well. Now I don't remember. So our new series is called Messy Monday, where every Monday we are going to be introducing to you guys a new way to make a mess. And basically it's a product focus mess because we really want you guys to love your products. We have gotten a lot of comments on our YouTube channel about how you don't know where to start with a product. You don't know where, you don't know what kind of mess it's going to make. It's the unknown, and we want to solve that unknown for you guys. So the first month that we are going to be playing around with Messy Monday is all about inks. This is the most easiest messy, it can be messy, but this is the most easiest mixed media product to be playing with is the ink. It really is. It's a very clean product, but yet you can still make a mess with it. So we will get into that. We have 4 to 5 Mondays, depending on where the month starts. This month just happens to have 4, where we are going to be talking about just the ink. And I have been using this stencil and this ink all throughout the entire week because I wanted to introduce Messy Monday, even though I didn't really introduce it until right now. So what I'm sharing with you guys here is that I wanted to only do the stenciling in a certain spot. And I made a comment yesterday of if you use ink behind the photo, be sure that you give it plenty of time to dry. Now this one here, I am filling in the ink behind my photos because I didn't want all that white space behind the photos. I did want to bring in another color, but I've used a lot of my paper and I didn't have this color of paper anymore. Not that I had this color to begin with, but I ran out of that gorgeous plaid. So I decided to ink fill in between all of my stenciling. And as you can see, I really like overlapping my stencils because now I just created another color because I let my stencil dry and then I'm bringing the ink back on top of it. And so now I am creating 2 different kinds of blues blending in with the same blue, if that makes any sense. So I've already got my ink color on, and now that I'm bringing in this blue, I'm darkening up what was already there because that's just a natural effect of adding ink on top of ink is you're just going to keep getting a darker ink, right? You can't always lighten it up. So what I'm trying to do here is just make sure that I'm not really worried about full coverage. I'm not really worried about how blotchy it is, because once I add my photos, it covers it up and gives me that color that I was looking for. So it's absolutely perfect. And I like that haze that I was given inside the stencil work as well. So I really do like that. I did add some splattering just so that way it's in the back, as opposed to having splattering, having to cover up your photos and add splattering later. I just like having it in the background. It's one of my favorite things to do. Sometimes I don't remember to do it, and then I do end up having to splatter on top of everything. But sometimes splattering on top is the effect that I'm looking for as well, because I want it on top of everything. So another thing too about ink is that I chose oxide ink for this entire project, because for me, I like the softness. If I was to have chosen my faded jeans in distress ink alone, it would have been a little bit too dark of an ink. I love the softer color of these vibrant colors in oxide. Plus, it's also very blendable. Not that distress ink isn't blendable. You can definitely get it to blend, and you definitely do get that flow. But I feel like distress oxide is user-friendly for beginners because it's more blendable. Like, it's more easier to work with, as opposed to getting an ink and then you have to actually work at it to blend colors and get rid of all the blotchiness. So I definitely think, in my opinion, which it's just my opinion, I think that the oxide is a great beginner ink for anybody to work with. There's lots of other things that we could talk about with the oxide, but for keeping it simple and starting off this new series, because I don't want to scare you guys off the very first day. I mean, I want you guys to come back and see what's going on next Monday, right? But to keep you guys from getting too scared, and I want you guys to use your product, I'm keeping it very simple. You do not have to do a lot to create a mixed media background. One of the other things too is that I love doing is you don't have to use the whole stencil. I just like using little bits and pieces of my stencils throughout a layout. I've been using it all week long, just sharing with you guys how I add this stencil. And it doesn't have to be this stencil. It can be any stencil that you own, but in little portions. I don't ever lay the whole stencil down and use the entire stencil. And so that definitely helps create that illusion that you have a design behind everything. So, all right, I'm going to finish this layout by adding this arrow once I peel off all of the masking that is on the top. Another thing about my wood is that I leave the masking on in case you guys want to ink certain portions, but you didn't want to ink all of it, or you guys don't have paint pens to paint in the fine lines. The ink is a better option. Again, the oxide ink, because it will not just soak into the wood and then be dull. It actually stays on top of the wood and is quite vibrant for the oxide inks. But I love leaving all of these as plain as possible. So another thing as well, while I am finishing up, because I am done, these are the fossil caves I was telling you guys about. And because they are called fossil caves, it was once underwater. And so as the water level lowers, animal life got stuck there. And you can walk in and see so many fossils on the rocks, above the rocks. As the center picture shows, my son is pointing it out to another son that he found a fossil way up inside the rocks. So it is just super cool. It is quite a hike to get up there. This was at the peak of the hike that we went to go and see these caves, but it was pretty fantabulous. All right, you guys, don't forget to check out Janet Fritz's channel. She is the brain behind Messy Monday, and I am just so happy to be joining her, as well as my partner with Kit Conspiracy, because we just love sharing with you guys on how to use our supplies, even though this one, I didn't use a whole lot of supplies. I apologize. There's a couple links down below for our Facebook groups, Janet's Facebook group, my Facebook group, and then, of course, Kit Conspiracy's Facebook group. And then I have a Facebook group that is a guide to mixed media for beginners. And so I've got that down below as well, because I do a lot of extensive videos. However, Facebook is getting ready to get rid of all of those videos. So I am going to try to compile a playlist here on YouTube of those videos, so that way they don't get lost. It is one of my goals to do. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will check you all later. Bye.